For decades, the West, especially the US and Europe, dominated the global economy, calling the shots while others watched from the sidelines. But now, the script is flipping. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are stepping forward, rewriting the rules, and expanding their ranks. This isn't a quiet shift. It's bold, disruptive, and making the old guard nervous. BRICS is throwing its own global party, and Africa is at the center of the guest list. Once seen only for its resources, Africa is now recognized for its potential and strategic importance. The world is moving from a single power center to a multipolar system, where influence is shared and more balanced. This isn't about swapping one superpower for another, it's about giving the global South, especially Africa, a real voice. The era of post-Cold War unipolarity is ending. Economic gravity is shifting east and south. Now, meetings in Beijing, New Delhi, and Johannesburg matter as much as those in Washington or London. This is about dignity, nations standing up to say, we're not just suppliers, we're innovators and leaders. With Africa stepping into a core role, the world is about to see what happens when 1.4 billion people get their chance to lead. The old story of the West leading and the rest following is over. The new narrative is a global conversation, not a monologue. Power is spreading out, creating a fairer system. The world is watching as Africa and BRICS reshape the future. BRICS started as a club of rising economies, but in 2024, it became a true global force by welcoming new members, including Egypt and Ethiopia. This wasn't just symbolic. With Egypt's Suez Canal and Ethiopia's economic growth, Africa now has real leverage in BRICS. Alongside South Africa, these nations give the continent a unified, powerful voice. Egypt controls a vital trade route. Ethiopia is a political and economic hub. BRICS is now a coalition of the global South, not just a club of big economies. Africa's priorities, like infrastructure, food security, and fair trade, are now central to the BRICS agenda. This shift moves Africa from the sidelines to the center of global decision-making. The relationship is no longer about aid, but about partnership and mutual respect. African nations now negotiate as equals with China, India, and Russia. The message is clear. Africa's rise is inseparable from the future of BRICS. The continent is no longer a bystander. It's a key architect of the new world order. The G7 once dominated the world economy, but the expanded BRICS bloc is now a true rival. BRICS represents nearly half the world's population, while the G7 covers just 10%. In purchasing power, BRICS has already surpassed the G7, signaling a major shift in economic influence. The bloc is also a commodity powerhouse, controlling vital resources like oil, minerals, and food. The G7, mostly consumers, now faces a world where producers have more say. The days of a few Western leaders setting the global agenda are fading. BRICS offers the global South a powerful alternative voice, backed by numbers and resources. This isn't about replacing the G7, but about creating a more balanced, multipolar world. Now, both groups must listen to each other. The global economic game has two major leagues, not just one. Africa's old story, rich in resources, poor in everything else, is being rewritten. African nations are moving from resource suppliers to strategic partners in technology, finance, and manufacturing. BRICS partnerships are fueling this transformation, with China building industrial zones and India driving digital empowerment. These aren't aid projects, they're long-term economic collaborations. Brazil is sharing expertise in agriculture and renewable energy, helping Africa build self-sufficiency. The focus is on unlocking Africa's human potential, not just extracting resources. Africa is leveraging these partnerships to build its own industries and control its destiny. The continent is no longer just a player. It's changing the rules. Africa's new game is about innovation, growth, and leadership. For decades, the US dollar ruled global trade, giving America immense power. But BRICS nations are tired of playing by dollar rules and are pushing for alternatives. De-dollarization is gaining momentum. BRICS countries are settling more trade in local currencies. India pays the UAE in rupees. China and Brazil trade in yuan and reais. This shift reduces dependence on the dollar and shields economies from US sanctions. The idea of a BRICS currency or payment system is on the table, aiming to make trade easier and more resilient. For Africa, this could be transformative, lowering costs, boosting intra-African trade, and increasing economic independence. Creating a new reserve currency is tough, but the motivation is strong. The weaponization of the dollar has accelerated the search for alternatives. Whether it's a new currency or digital system, the goal is a multipolar financial world. For Africa, this is a practical step toward true sovereignty. The financial future is being rewritten, one transaction at a time. Africa holds 3 trump cards for the future: vast minerals, abundant land, and a booming young population. The continent supplies critical minerals for green tech, like cobalt and lithium. Africa's uncultivated land is key to global food security, attracting investment from BRICS nations. But Africa's greatest asset is its youth. By 2050, 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. This demographic surge means a huge workforce and consumer market. BRICS sees Africa as a partner for long-term sustainable growth. The relationship is shifting from extraction to co-development. Investing in Africa's success is investing in the world's future. Africa's unique combination of resources, land, and people makes it indispensable. The BRICS Africa Alliance is building real infrastructure, railways, ports, and digital networks that will rewire the global economy. These projects connect African countries to each other and the world, reducing reliance on old colonial trade routes. New trade corridors and digital payment systems empower African businesses and entrepreneurs. Imagine a Nigerian business paying a Brazilian supplier instantly without touching a US dollar. This is about sovereignty. Africa and BRICS are creating systems that reflect their own goals. The new rules of trade and investment are being written in cities like Addis Ababa and Johannesburg. Africa is at the heart of this global transformation. The world's economic map is being redrawn, and Africa is holding the pen. Fast forward to 2035. The BRICS Africa partnership has transformed the global landscape. Africa is no longer seen as a continent in need, but as a hub of opportunity and innovation. Cities like Lagos and Nairobi are global tech and manufacturing centers. African brands and renewable energy exports are recognized worldwide. The global financial system is more balanced, with BRICS payment systems rivaling the dollar. African nations have more control and stability. This future isn't guaranteed. Challenges remain, but the potential is undeniable. The BRICS Africa Alliance is one of the most significant shifts of our time. The world must now ask, is it ready for Africa's rise and the new order it brings?